Hi, I'm here to talk about SpongeBob SquarePants, the protagonist of the SpongeBob franchise. I do really like the SpongeBob franchise. I think that it's hilarious. I think there's a lot of fun to be had from it. And the interesting thing is, I don't think that SpongeBob has ever been my favorite character in his own franchise. Um, I think Plankton, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Man Ray, Murray Man, Barnacle Boy have been my favorite characters before, but SpongeBob, I don't think so. But the interesting thing is, I don't think I've ever disliked SpongeBob. I think I've always been somewhat of a fan of the character, and I think SpongeBob leads the franchise very well and is a good choice to be the protagonist of the franchise, with SpongeBob being very kind, really caring about others, so provide a lot of heart, which I think is good to have even in a comedic franchise. I think a lack of heart could get in the way of the comedy. I feel like the comedy could get a little too mean spirited without some heart. So, uh, SpongeBob's heart very important, but also SpongeBob himself is a character that does fit into a lot of comedic situations. With SpongeBob not really understanding how a lot of characters are truly feeling and what's really going on. And there's a lot of interesting stuff where SpongeBob causes a lot of problems with Squidward without realizing it, without trying to cause bad things to happen to Squidward. And there's a lot of likability to SpongeBob, but also SpongeBob is a very flawed character that makes a lot of mistakes. And there's a lot of comedy from that, and there's some good emotional stuff to it. And SpongeBob, a very happy, upbeat, optimistic character, but even SpongeBob can have some self doubt. I think that was explored well in the first film, and I think that SpongeBob is a nuanced enough character where SpongeBob doesn't have to be the most complicated character, but he's not entirely simplistic. There is some personality and important attributes that do make him an interesting character. As the seasons of SpongeBob went on, some of the later seasons, not the best, but I think aren't too bad either. I think SpongeBob is a character that does continue to remain entertaining, but there are times where I feel more sorry for Squidward than for SpongeBob. There are times where SpongeBob could seem just a little bit questionable in likability to a certain extent in certain episodes, but I don't overall think that SpongeBob's an unlikable, bad character in the later seasons. I still think that he's been fun, and I feel like he's had a lot of good intentions, and there's still some nice stuff to be had. So I don't think SpongeBob has become an awful character. I still think that he is a fun character. So overall, SpongeBob's not my favorite character in SpongeBob, but I am a fan of the character.